nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds. It was founded on the principle that all men are created equal.
Organized religion and organized crime working together to help build a better America.
Hello and welcome to the Citizen Noise Exchange, operating out of the misty mountains of the Great Salt Lake here in the very fascinating state of Utah. This is our first episode, and as such, we're going to be introducing ourselves and explaining a little bit about the idea behind the show and what we hope to accomplish with it. So, with that said, my name's Gaston Arbitro, and I'm a nobody. Jake?
Hey, I'm Jacob. Get it right. Your resident apostate Mormon, fourth generation, who, kind of disenfranchised with the church and Utah in general. Like to voice my opinion here on this podcast would be, it's me.
So you're nobody too, then?
Pretty much.
Nice.
Assalamu alaikum, which means peace and blessings to all of you. I'm Yahya Daoud, and I will be the resident Muslim on the show, handling the jihad portion.
Nice. And what does Yahya Dawood translate to?
That means John David.
Doesn't mean freedom hater.
Alrighty.
My name is Colby Tapp, and I'm also a nobody, but I feel that I can have a unique position with this podcast and enunciate some beliefs that are pretty radical, but I think we'll all find that we share some of these radical viewpoints that I have.
Very nice. So I guess the show's kind of told through the perspective of the tired, the poor, and the huddled masses of the Salt Lake Valley, at least thus far. So very cool.
Yeah.
You agree with
what
that?
car you drive, yeah.
It's aight. So what I feel this show is that it is an opportunity for people like us who do have voices, but there's seldom an opportunity to express our voices and to express what we feel and to kind of communicate ideas and exchange opinions and have a couple of laughs and have some good conversations. That's pretty much how I feel about this whole thing. What about you, Jake?
It's pretty good. It's pretty much what happens in our lives. Normally, it's just there's microphones and organization, I guess.
Yeah, and other people are going to be listening.
Sure.
So we're basically doing what we do on a daily basis, but this time we're mic'd, and we have a couple of ideas for some different segments to better illustrate our ideas. And so what we're going to be doing, we're going to be explaining the segments, and then we're going to basically roll on through them. Does that sound good with everybody?
Excellent.
Very good. So this first segment is called the Mexican Mormon Mouth-Off. And basically the idea of this segment is that Jacob over here, being the apostate Mormon here in Utah.
Apostate is a Mormon who never really gelled or fit in, kind of always thought something a little sketch was up with the church and really never towed the line for everybody.
Kind of strayed away from the flock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are the worst kind, the apostates. And then there's...
In the eyes of the fist, they are.
Absolutely. And I'm the Gentile. I'm the one that just never really gave a shit about it all. Not saying that I never had curiosities or interests in it, but I was never baptized. I was never incorporated into the great and glorious flock of J. Smith. And so the segment is basically our Colby Tapp. He's going to mediate questions, relevant, some not. And we're going to have a mouth-off, a Mexican Mormon mouth-off. So, here we go.
So I thought that a good first issue that you guys could discuss, a good divisive issue that's relative to our life in Utah. Whenever a highway patrolman is killed in the line of duty on a highway in Utah, the Utah Highway Patrol places a gigantic white cross at the spot that they died. Yeah, they're gigantic. Well, the one in Parley's is huge. But anyways, yeah, so I thought that... So the Utah Highway Patrol places these giant crosses at the spot of the death of these officers killed in the line of duty. And the American Atheist League is now going to sue the Utah Highway Patrol to get them to remove them because they are, in fact, religious symbols being placed there by the government.
I see.
So, take it away, guys.
I got an opinion on that. I just think it's typical how they'll take an issue, because to me it's not really an issue of religion or, atheism, Mormonism, Christianity, whatever. It's more if they want to honor these people at the places at which they fell, so to speak. I don't think it's an issue of religion. I don't think it's an issue. I don't think they're like encroaching on me. It's like, oh, he's a Christian man, obviously, because there's this big fucking sore thumb sticking out of the side of the street. And so it's not really a big deal. I mean, if he's Jewish, do with the Star of David. If he's Muslim, then what do Muslims do, John? What is there? Is there a sign?
Head on a stick.
Yeah, there you go. Head on a stick.
We bury our dead like normal.
Gotcha. So yeah.
Is there any marker or like anything, or is just like?
Well, certainly if the family wants to put a headstone up.
Okay.
Is that a basic part of the tradition, or is it just like? Because even for the atheist burial currently, you're still dealing with markers like.
Well, there will always
stone markers, at least in America. You know what I mean?
There will always be some grave marker there. As to what the symbol is, I guess really depends on the family.
Okay, so there's not a set official, emblem.
You've seen graves marked by rocks around the mound of dirt. That's a grave marker in essence.
All right. So, well, like I was saying is that I don't think it's an issue of religion. I think if they start illuminating these things with Christmas lights, disco balls, and it becomes a road hazard, then yeah, fuck them, do away with them. But if it's just they want to honor their dead and whatever, by putting the corresponding marker for that, then I don't care, dude. And I think the Atheist League, the mega whatever they are, I think they can go fuck themselves, whatever.
Well, it's not. It's like more the issue of like with me anyway. It's more the issue that they like the Highway Patrol in Utah, they don't operate like any other policing system. Like Summit County Sheriff, Salt Lake County Sheriff, Municipal Police. You know what I mean? They are operating through these city councils, like they're being paid by the citizens, you know what I mean?
Okay,
like directly. But the Utah Highway Patrol, they're basically a private security company that maintain our big highways, and they're not subject to certain things like highway patrolmen. You'll never see highway patrolmen with tattoos because they can force people out with tattoos because they're a private company and you give up certain rights when you join the highway patrol. It's
okay. So the highway patrol, how are they funded?
The highway patrol, it's a state contract, just like UDOT. Not like UDOT hires out Wadsworth Construction to do I-15. Like we contract out Utah Highway Patrol to police our highways, but they operate different from your regular sheriff's department, city, municipality cops.
Mm-hmm. So then the taxpayers are the ones putting up these. Okay, now I can kind of see where the conflict arises. But then again, that's the whole thing, is that who pays for a cop's funeral? Taxes.
Sure.
Taxes pay for the cop's funeral.
Sure.
And in that same facet, I think it's, whatever, do it. Do it. I don't care. Do you?
It
do you
doesn't.
agree or
It doesn't bother you. Sure, it's a non-issue.
Does
for
it bother you?
Does it bother me?
Yeah. With giant crucifixes sticking out.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it literally offends me. Like, I don't care if I see pentagrams. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Like, you know, this is America, and you can.
We're free here.
You're free for sure. You're supposed to be able to do basically whatever you want. I mean, if people are gonna get oversensitive, I mean,
I think you can do technically whatever you want.
no, sure. I mean, that's the idea, right? That you can do whatever you want.
So Cole, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that just like whenever you give one, when we're talking of these freedom of speech issues, it's really it's really hard. It's a double-edged sword for sure, because in the same breath, what's the alternative? Take away the right of that expression, but then you're going to have people who legitimately may want a phallic monument, who's, he might be a highway patrolman who believed in, the power of man and not God, and wanted a phallic symbol paid for by the tax people on the side of the mountain. And in that, so if we can't split hairs here. We've got, if we're free, we're free. If we're not, then we're not.
If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Yeah.
Like.
So
there you go.
So, but we can't have this discussion again when somebody wants a giant penis erected on the side of the road. If they, if they're allowed to continue doing this. I don't know. I mean, that's extravagant.
That's
but I'm saying,
extreme,
but he said pentagram.
He
said pentagram. That's.
Well, it's just like you have to come up with a reasonable like where do you separate like individual fanaticism to cult to full-blown religion? Like, you know what I mean?
Started somewhere.
Like some psychopath, that maybe he's a cop, more than likely, like
yeah,
he's a fucking cop, and maybe like, dude, it's just like the NAMBLA, like the American Man Boy Love Association, like these people exist. You know what I mean? That like maybe that's their religion, like man, boy, love, and it's just like maybe his monument was, a 60-year-old
man
sticking his dick in an 8-year-old's ass, and it's just like,
there we go.
Dude, man, that's just because that's his religion doesn't mean I have to be subject to that commuting to work. Like,
no, for sure.
You know what I mean? And people don't attack like corporate symbology that have obviously satanistic or imagery. Like people want to throw stones where they can. It's just like.
But the way that they see it is they are already being robbed, so they want that. I mean, because they are technically paying for it,
so they
which is their argument.
So then, what they want the families to pay for these things, or?
Well, yeah, because if an individual owns property, they can erect whatever kind of shit they want, depending on code and county regulations. So, I mean, yeah, but that's private or that's public land that they're also placing these crucifixes on too. This is land that belongs to every American citizen, including atheists, and and the taxpayers pay to have that land maintained, and they're also paying to have this crucifix erected on it.
Well, that was for sure, dude. Like,
I mean, that I'm looking at it very subjectively. I'm looking at it from that, because I mean, I agree with I don't think the atheist should sue them, but I don't think that I should. If I'm going to pay for a crucifix, then when I die, I want a giant Burning Man or a giant pyramid built on the side of the highway. Then a giant pyramid will work.
Well, my question is that it's where he fell, but is it where he's buried? Because we're paying for that plus his burial, as I'm understanding it through this conversation.
Okay.
So where do we draw the line is my question.
Well, it's just
how much, is there a cap on how much the public can pay or does pay for their funerals on top of these other
So then here's my question is, why
expenses?
are they doing this?
Well, first of all, it's kind of hard for us to comment. None of us are like what you would call like doing the higher good for the community. Like, you know what I mean? We're digging.
We are now.
We are now.
No, sure, but like, just because they're cops and shit like this, do we have to like, you know what I mean? Like average Joe, Mexican, like dirt bag, like. You know what I mean? Like, not being a pejorative towards Mexicans. I'm